There is a quiet truth that moves beneath the noise of the world, a truth that does not shout yet shapes the lives of those who listen. Many chase luck as if it were a wandering bird, hoping it might land on their shoulder one day. But luck is not something that arrives by accident. It is invited, prepared for, and quietly welcomed. In the stillness of early mornings, when the mind is not yet crowded with desire, one may begin to understand that energy flows where attention rests. Salt, simple and pure, has long been known to absorb what is heavy and unseen. Bay leaves, gentle yet fragrant, carry the essence of intention and quiet strength. Together they are not magic in themselves, but they become powerful when placed with awareness. Before April 12th, the moment of shifting energy, there is an opportunity to prepare your space both within and around you. Choose a place in your home that is often ignored, a hidden corner, a quiet shelf, or a space behind a door where little attention is given. It is in these forgotten places that stagnant energy gathers, like still water that no longer reflects the sky. Take a small bowl, place a pinch of salt within it and a few bay leaves on top. Do not rush this act. Let your hands move slowly as if each motion carries meaning. As you place them, do not think of what you lack. Instead, reflect on what you are ready to receive, not with greed, but with openness. This hidden spot is not chosen for secrecy, but for transformation. When you place something pure in a neglected place, you begin to restore balance. You are telling the unseen currents of your life that you are ready to clear what no longer serves you. But understand this clearly, the object is not the source of change you are. The salt absorbs because you allow release. The bay leaves carry intention because your mind gives them direction. Without awareness, they are only objects. With awareness, they become reminders. Each day until April 12th, pass by this place quietly. Do not disturb it. Simply notice it, let it remind you to let go of resentment, to soften your thoughts and to act with clarity. Luck does not enter a life filled with noise and resistance. It enters where there is space. When the day arrives, do not expect sudden miracles or dramatic change. Instead, observe the subtle shifts, the lighter feeling in your chest, the clearer decisions, the unexpected ease in small matters. These are the true signs of alignment. In the end, the hidden spot is not in your home, it is within you. The salt is your willingness to release. The bay leaves are your intention to grow. And the date you wait for is simply a reminder that every moment is an opening if you choose to see it. So prepare your space, but more importantly, prepare your mind. For when the mind becomes clear and steady, what you call luck begins to follow you quietly, like a shadow that never leaves. Luck is invited, not random. Luck is not something that happens by chance. It comes when your mind, actions, and environment are aligned with awareness and intention. Luck is often misunderstood as something slucha krakkoyeno ye, a force that randomly selects who will rise and who will fall. Many spend their lives waiting for the right moment, the right chance, or the right blessing to appear, believing that one day fortune will knock on their door without warning. But this way of thinking keeps the mind restless and dependent, always looking outward instead of inward. In truth, what is called luck is not random at all. It is a quiet response to the state of your inner world and the way you move through life. When the mind is scattered, filled with doubt, fear, or constant craving, it creates resistance. This resistance blocks opportunities, not because the world is unfair, but because the mind cannot recognize or receive what is already present. A person may walk past many open doors, yet see none of them simply because their thoughts are clouded. In this state, even good circumstances feel heavy and even small obstacles feel overwhelming. But when the mind becomes calm and attentive, something begins to shift. You start noticing what was always there: opportunities, connections, ideas, and paths that once seemed hidden. This is what people often describe as luck changing, but in reality it is awareness increasing. The world has not changed, your ability to see and respond has. To invite this kind of alignment, one must begin with intention. Not a desperate wish or a demand for quick results, but a steady and quiet intention to live with clarity. Every action, no matter how small, becomes part of this process. The way you speak, the way you think, the way you treat others, these all shape the flow of your life. When your actions are mindful, they create a sense of order. And from this order, what appears as luck begins to emerge naturally. There is also the matter of preparation. A farmer does not wait for rain without first preparing the soil. In the same way, you cannot expect favorable outcomes if your inner ground is neglected. Preparing yourself means letting go of what weighs you down: old regrets, unnecessary anger, and constant comparison with others. These are like stones in the soil, preventing growth. When you release them, even gradually, you make space for something new to take root. Patience plays an important role as well. Many give up too early because they expect immediate results. But true alignment does not happen in a single moment. It unfolds slowly, like the turning of seasons. When you remain steady and continue to act with awareness, changes begin to gather quietly. At first, they may be almost invisible: a small improvement in mood, a clearer thought, a better decision. Over time, these small shifts connect and form a path that feels smoother and more supportive. In the end, luck is not something that belongs to a select few. It is a natural outcome of a balanced and attentive life. When you stop chasing it and instead focus on creating clarity within yourself, you begin to notice that what you once called luck has been following you all along, waiting for you to become ready to receive it. Salt and bay leaves symbolize cleansing and intention. Salt represents the removal of negative or stagnant energy, while bay leaves carry your focused intentions and quiet strength. When a person begins to observe life more deeply, they begin to see the world in a new light. They slowly realize that most struggles do not come from outside forces, but from the inner condition of the mind. The world itself is neither against nor in favor of anyone. It simply responds in subtle ways to the energy, focus, and clarity that a person carries within themselves. What we often call luck is not a sudden gift from nowhere, but the result of harmony between thought, intention, and action. A restless mind constantly searches for something new, always dissatisfied with what it has. This restlessness creates confusion, and confusion makes even simple decisions feel difficult. When decisions become unclear, actions lose direction, and when actions lose direction, results appear scattered. From this scattered pattern, people begin to believe that life is unfair or that luck has abandoned them. But in reality, it is not luck that is missing, it is steadiness. Steadiness begins when a person learns to slow down internally. This does not mean withdrawing from life, but rather engaging with it more consciously. Each thought is observed instead of being followed blindly. Each emotion is noticed instead of being immediately reacted to. Over time, this creates space within the mind, and in that space, clarity begins to grow naturally. Clarity is the foundation upon which better choices are made. When choices improve, life begins to change in ways that may seem small at first but become powerful over time. A better choice in conversation can strengthen a relationship. A better choice in timing can open a new opportunity. A better choice in response can prevent unnecessary conflict. These small adjustments may not appear magical, yet they slowly reshape the direction of a person's life. It is also important to understand the role of attention. Wherever attention goes, energy follows. If attention is constantly placed on fear, lack, or comparison, the mind begins to experience more of the same. But when attention is gently guided toward gratitude, learning, and improvement, the inner state begins to shift. This shift does not happen overnight, but it is steady and real. With time, the mind becomes less reactive and more observant. Many people look for external signs of change, expecting life to transform suddenly. However, real transformation is usually quiet. It begins internally long before it becomes visible externally. A person may first notice that they are less disturbed by problems that once felt overwhelming. Then they may realize that solutions come more easily. Eventually, what once felt like struggle begins to feel manageable, even meaningful. This gradual movement is often misunderstood as luck finally arriving. But what has actually changed is the person's relationship with life. Instead of resisting every situation, they begin to understand it. Instead of reacting blindly, they respond thoughtfully. Instead of rushing, they begin to align their actions with awareness. In this state of alignment, life feels smoother. Not because difficulties disappear completely, but because the mind becomes capable of moving through them with greater ease. This ease is what many people interpret as good fortune. Yet it is not something given or taken away, it is cultivated through inner discipline and conscious living. In the end, what appears as luck is simply life reflecting back the quality of attention we bring to it. When attention becomes clear, steady, and mindful, life naturally begins to respond in a more supportive way. The hidden spot represents neglected energy, placing these items in a forgotten or ignored area helps clear stagnant energy and restore balance in both your space and life. There is a subtle truth that most people overlook in their search for success, happiness, and what they call luck. They imagine that life is controlled by sudden events, external forces, or unpredictable turns of fate. Because of this belief, they often feel powerless, waiting for something outside themselves to change their situation. But when one observes life carefully, it becomes clear that external conditions are only reflections of internal states. What a person consistently carries within their mind eventually shapes what they experience outside. The mind is not a passive receiver of life, it is an active participant in it. Every thought, whether conscious or unconscious, carries a certain direction. When thoughts are chaotic, scattered, or driven by fear, the energy of life becomes fragmented. A person may find themselves starting many things but completing few, or desiring change but feeling unable to move toward it. This creates frustration, and frustration strengthens the belief that luck is missing. However, what is actually missing is coherence within the mind. Coherence begins when attention is trained to remain present. Presence does not mean eliminating thoughts, but rather not being controlled by them. When a thought arises, it is seen clearly instead of being followed blindly. When emotions appear, they are acknowledged instead of being suppressed or exaggerated. This simple shift creates a gap between stimulus and reaction. In that gap, wisdom begins to grow quietly. As this inner stability develops, perception changes. A person begins to notice opportunities that were always present but previously overlooked. Conversations become more meaningful, timing becomes more natural, and decisions feel less forced. Life does not suddenly become perfect, but it becomes more understandable. This understanding is often mistaken for luck, yet it is actually the result of clear awareness. One of the greatest obstacles to this clarity is accumulation, mental, emotional, and energetic. People carry old experiences, unresolved feelings, and repeated patterns of thinking that no longer serve them. These accumulations act like noise in the background of the mind. They distort perception and reduce sensitivity to the present moment. Releasing them is not about forgetting the past, but about no longer allowing the past to define current perception. When inner space is cleared even slightly, something remarkable happens. The mind becomes lighter. Decisions that once felt heavy begin to feel simpler. Actions become more natural and less forced. There is a sense of flow, as if life is no longer being pushed against but moved with. This feeling of flow is often described as being in the right place at the right time. But it is actually the result of alignment between awareness and action. Another important aspect is patience with transformation. Many people expect immediate and dramatic changes, but inner growth rarely follows such a pattern. It unfolds gradually, like dawn replacing night. At first, the changes are almost unnoticeable. A slightly calmer reaction here, a slightly better choice there. Over time, these small improvements accumulate and begin to shape a completely different experience of life. In this process, external tools, symbols, or rituals may serve as reminders, but they are never the source of change. The true source remains the mind itself, its clarity, its discipline, and its awareness. When these qualities strengthen, life begins to respond in ways that feel supportive and meaningful. Eventually, what was once called luck is no longer seen as something mysterious or distant. It is recognized as the natural outcome of living with attention, balance, and understanding. Awareness is more powerful than objects. The real transformation comes from your mindset, and present the objects only act as tools to support your inner clarity. When people speak about luck, we often imagine it as a mysterious force that arrives without warning, changing lives in an instant. But a deeper observation of life shows that what appears as sudden fortune is usually the result of long, unseen preparation. Nothing meaningful in human experience emerges without a foundation already being formed beneath the surface. Just as a river does not suddenly begin to flow without mountains, rainfall, and terrain shaping its path, life also follows subtle patterns shaped by inner conditions. The human mind is constantly shaping experience through perception. Two people can stand in the same place, witness the same situation, and yet experience it completely differently. One may see possibility while the other sees limitation. One may feel motivated while the other feels discouraged. The difference is not in the external world, but in the lens through which it is observed. This lens is formed by habits of thinking, emotional conditioning, and past experiences. When the mind is burdened with confusion or negativity, it tends to interpret situations in a restricted way. Even when opportunities arise, they may go unnoticed or feel inaccessible. This creates the impression that life is withholding something. However, life is not withholding anything, it is simply reflecting the state of awareness being applied to it. A clouded mirror cannot reflect light clearly, no matter how bright the light may be. As awareness becomes more refined, perception begins to shift. The mind starts recognizing patterns it previously ignored. It becomes more sensitive to timing, more aware of consequences, and more open to subtle possibilities. This is not magic, it is clarity developing over time. And with clarity comes better alignment between thought and action. When thoughts are clear, actions become purposeful. When actions are purposeful, results become more coherent. Many people underestimate the importance of inner stability. They focus heavily on external strategies, methods, or shortcuts, hoping these will bring instant success. While external effort is important, it becomes far more effective when supported by internal balance. Without inner stability, even the best opportunities can be misused or overlooked. With inner stability, even small opportunities can grow into meaningful outcomes. There is also a natural rhythm to life that becomes noticeable when the mind is calm. Things begin to unfold at the right time, not necessarily faster but more appropriately. Delays no longer feel like obstacles but like necessary preparation. Setbacks begin to reveal lessons rather than just frustrations. This shift in perception transforms the entire experience of living. What once felt random begins to feel interconnected. This interconnectedness is often misunderstood as destiny or luck, but it is more accurately described as awareness meeting opportunity. When a person is fully present, they are more capable of responding to what is actually happening rather than what they fear or assume. This presence reduces unnecessary resistance and increases effectiveness in action. Over time, even challenges begin to feel different. Instead of being seen as signs of failure, they are recognized as part of a larger process of refinement. Each difficulty becomes a moment to adjust, learn, and strengthen understanding. In this way, life becomes less about chasing favorable outcomes and more about developing the ability to navigate all outcomes with balance. In the end, what people call luck is simply life responding clearly to clarity within the mind. When perception is refined, actions become aligned, and when actions are aligned, results naturally follow a more harmonious path. True change is subtle, not dramatic. Luck shows up in small, meaningful ways: clear thinking, lighter emotions, and smoother experiences rather than sudden miracles. When a person begins to look deeply into the nature of life, it becomes increasingly clear that nothing happens in complete isolation. Every outcome is connected to a long chain of thoughts, decisions, emotions, and subtle habits that accumulate over time. What appears as a sudden shift in fortune is usually the visible peak of a process that has been developing quietly beneath the surface for much longer. In this sense, what is often called luck is not a random event, but the final expression of inner and outer alignment reaching a point of clarity. Most people live with a strong focus on immediate results. They want quick improvement, fast success, and instant change. This urgency often creates pressure within the mind, and pressure leads to impatience. When impatience dominates thinking, it becomes difficult to notice gradual progress. Yet life rarely transforms in dramatic leaps. Instead, it moves in subtle steps that are easy to overlook in the moment but powerful when viewed over time. A small improvement in thinking, a slightly better decision, or a moment of self-awareness may seem insignificant, but these are the building blocks of long-term change. The quality of attention plays a central role in shaping experience. Attention is like a stream of energy that flows toward whatever it consistently focuses on. When attention is repeatedly directed toward fear, limitation, or comparison, the mind begins to interpret reality through those filters. This can create a sense of blockage, as if opportunities are missing or inaccessible. However, when attention is gently trained toward clarity, learning, and constructive action, perception begins to open. The same environment that once felt limiting can begin to reveal possibilities that were always present but previously unnoticed. Another important factor is internal consistency. Many people experience conflict within themselves, wanting one thing but acting in another direction, or desiring change while holding on to familiar patterns. This internal conflict creates friction, and friction reduces momentum. Over time, this can lead to the feeling that progress is blocked or that external forces are working against them. In reality, it is often the lack of alignment between intention and behavior that slows movement forward. When alignment begins to form, even gradually, life starts to feel different. Decisions become easier because there is less internal resistance. Actions require less force because they are more in harmony with intention. This does not mean challenges disappear, but rather that the response to challenges becomes more steady and effective. In such a state, outcomes begin to improve naturally, not because life has suddenly changed, but because the individual has become more attuned to it. It is also important to understand that transformation requires continuity. Occasional effort produces occasional results, but consistent effort shapes identity and direction. Many people underestimate the power of repetition. A thought repeated often becomes a belief. A belief repeated through action becomes a pattern. A pattern repeated over time becomes a life structure. Within this structure, what appears as luck is often simply the result of well-established patterns working in harmony with opportunity. As awareness deepens, a person begins to recognize that external events are not separate from internal development. Instead of seeing life as something happening to them, they begin to see it as something happening through them. This shift in perception reduces resistance and increases adaptability. Life becomes less about control and more about understanding movement and timing. In the end, what is called luck is not a mysterious force acting independently of human effort. It is the natural outcome of sustained awareness, aligned action, and steady inner growth. When these elements come together, life begins to unfold in a way that feels smoother, more connected, and more meaningful.